today. And I wanted to introduce those of you to Stephanie, who is an MCB employee who's going to be our Zoom host today. And we also have 2 sign language interpreters and our cart provider. So if you have any questions of a technical nature, please feel free to direct the questions over to Samantha, and I'm sure we can get you squared away. I hope everyone had a nice Thanksgiving. Just a moment. I hope everyone had a nice Thanksgiving. The year is going so fast. I'm having trouble believing it's December already. I think we will go directly into our roll call for attendance. And I think I heard Jennifer Harnish, our secretary, chime in. Are you here, Jennifer? Jennifer Harnish, do we have you here?
I do see Jennifer on Zoom, even though she might be having trouble unmuting.
Okay. Well, what I will ask is for everyone who is an RC member and also the MCB guests to kindly unmute. And then we are having a few technical difficulties today, and I apologize because my video is not working. So I think what you're seeing up there is just my picture, and you're hearing a voice from beyond, but be working on trying to figure out what's going on with my video. So in the meantime, if people could unmute, that will help us through our roll call. Are you ready, Jennifer?
Dan, this is Sharon. I'm able to unmute. I don't know about if other people are.
Yeah, I just want to remind everybody that that got it button, you have to
Yes.
find that and get it when the recording starts. So
That's right.
that sometimes causes a problem.
I forget about that.
Yeah.
I could go through the role myself, but I don't want to lose Jennifer if she's here. Can I ask Samantha what you're seeing on your end as far as Jennifer's status?
So Jennifer is listed in the attendance. It just shows it as muted. I did try to press the button just right now to ask for the mute to see if maybe a pop-up would come, but it still is muted.
All right. Well, Jennifer, I know you're here. Maybe with your permission, I will go through the roll call on my end, and then we'll loop you back in as your technical situation gets resolved. So we've got Jennifer, and I guess we will count her as being present. And Jerry Barrier, I just heard Jerry's voice.
I'm here.
Very good. How are you today?
Doing well.
Naomi Goldberg. Is Naomi with us?
Naomi is not going to be here today, but Inez is here from CAP.
Very good. Hi, Inez. How are you?
Good morning, Deanne. Well, afternoon. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, thanks.
Sarah Wiles is here too, Deanne.
Oh, thank you, Sarah. How are you?
Yep, good, thanks.
Okay, so we've got, let's see, just a moment. Rebecca Davis? Is Rebecca here?
I did see an email from Rebecca that she won't be here today.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear it. Okay, thank you for the fill-in. Martha Daigle, I think I heard Martha's voice.
I am, yes.
Hi, how are you this morning?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, thanks. And Cheryl Scott, I think I heard Cheryl join us.
Yes, I'm here.
Hi, Cheryl.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Brian Switzer. Is Brian with us? No. Jennifer Whitmore? Oh, I got actually a message from Jennifer that she might be joining us later, but she had a scheduling conflict. Devin Meyer? Do we have Devin Meyer with us?
Do not see Devin.
Balamina Tripp? Commissioner D'Arcangelo is not here. And I think I heard Priscilla join us.
Yes, I am here.
Good morning, Priscilla. Or afternoon, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
Good, thank you. And there's me. So if my calculation is correct, we have 6, and that does not make quorum. So we will hold off on voting on our minutes. We had 2 sets of minutes. You might recall one was from June, and we had decided to postpone the consideration of those minutes for a later date because the recording that they were based on was still being processed. And since that time, the recording did become available, and Jennifer, our secretary, was able to incorporate some of those very good comments into the revised minutes. And then I think also there was we had misquoted Deputy Commissioner Oliveira at one point when he was talking about a program. So did anyone have a chance to look over those minutes, and are there any edits or changes, even though we won't be voting on them, that we should consider for the next time we meet quorum? The other set of meeting minutes that you would have received, which would be separate, would be our September meeting minutes.
I have a question about the September minutes.
Uh-huh.
And this is probably something I should know, but David D'Arcangelo mentioned that she would no longer be with us, and then he said to direct requests to him and that he would route them appropriately. I don't understand what kind of requests those would be.
Oh, was that for Regina DeMarzo?
Yes.
Yes. For those of you who may be joining us for the first time, Regina DeMarzo was our liaison with the Massachusetts Commission for the Blind, because MCB provides us with administrative support. And since that time, we have been working with Michael Sacconi, who isn't here today. Samantha's filling in, and perhaps Michael will be able to join us later. And I think that also some of Regina's support activities towards the Rehabilitation Council are being divided up a little bit amongst other staff members. Is that correct? Can I put you on the spot, Nate? I'm not sure we have Nathan with
He's
us.
gone
Can you-
too.
I'm here. Can you say that again,
Oh.
Dan?
Yes, Jerry had a question about the minutes for September, and one of the comments in there said that if there were questions or requests, they could be directed to the commissioner. And my
Yep.
understanding was that if there was something that we would typically be reaching out to Regina with, that we would be contacting Michael, and that other members of the staff would be filling in for Regina until a replacement can be found. Is that your
Yeah,
understanding?
Yeah, that's my understanding. And we are close to getting a replacement for Regina rather.
good.
We're at the tail end of that process right now. So my expectation is by the next time we meet, we will have a replacement in place.
Very good.
So, Deanne, I would just like to recommend then that a phrase be added there where it said that that she was our liaison, because I don't know if everybody remembers that. I actually didn't. I'm sure I should have, but,
Yeah, we
just
could
to
clear.
clarify that if somebody reads the minutes, that they'll be more understandable. But I want to comment that those minutes are great. I mean, I think
Yeah.
Jennifer is doing a fantastic job at writing up the minutes, and there's a lot to them.
I would agree. It's not an easy job, and Jennifer has done an outstanding job capturing our conversations, and I really appreciate that effort. Yeah, we can certainly make that change. Did that answer your question, Jerry?
It did. Thank you.
Okay, cool. I think I just heard Jennifer Whitmore pop in. Is that correct? Is Jennifer Whitmore here? Jennifer? Any Jennifer?
Hi,
Jennifer Harnish? Or-
I'm so
Hi.
sorry. I could not unmute. I am here. Thank you.
Very good. Well, I think you make 7, and with 7, we actually have quorum. So that
Great.
means we can vote just in the nick of time. Your perfect timing.
Wonderful.
And yeah, has Jennifer Harnish joined us yet? Oh, I'm not quite sure what to
She
do
put a
about it.
message in the chat that she was having trouble unmuting.
Okay.
And also
Okay.
there was one there about for people to say their names for the interpreters. And I forgot to say that. My name is Sharon. Pardon me.
Very good. Thank you. I have some of my comments turned off because I'm listening to my JAWS as I'm taking my minute notes. So let us go through this list and we will begin with June minutes. And because Jennifer is having issues with the audio, I guess I will just go through myself. And if you would, as you hear your name called, this would be for the approval of the June minutes. Please, well, actually, I'm sorry, I am getting ahead of myself because we also wanted to acknowledge our guests who are here. So we also have some MCB attendees and guests. We've heard, I know, from Inez and from Sarah Weil, from a couple of other folks, Sharon. John, would you like to maybe introduce some of the MCB employees who are here today?
You know what? I haven't even looked at the guest list.
That's okay. If you just want to introduce yourself, we can then ask other
Yes,
MCB
John
employees to chime
Oliveira,
in.
Priscilla is here, Gomez and Samantha is here supporting, filling in for Mike.
Yeah.
Who else is here from MCB? Announce yourselves.
Nathan Scrocky. I know Lauren, you're here as well.
Yeah, Lauren's going to be
Yes.
muted. Yeah, she's here.
Hi,
Okay.
Lauren.
Anybody else, Nate? that you see?
Samantha, might we ask you to spell your last name for the minutes when Jennifer is taking them over the summer? Or I mean, over the winter.
Yes, my last name is Linden, which is Linden.
Thank you. And we have our 2 sign language interpreters and the CART provider. Would you like to introduce yourselves?
Hi, I'm Janice Evans, and
Welcome.
I'm one of the ASL interpreters.
Okay.
I'm Lori Weinert. I'm the second ASL interpreter.
Welcome.
I'm Stephanie. I'm the CART provider.
Welcome. Do we have other agency representatives? I know we had about 19 folks, so we must have some consumers attending as well. So let us go down.
Excuse me, Deanne, it's Lauren, and I don't see Jennifer. I know Jennifer had to hang up probably because she was having the issues,
Yeah.
but I don't see her back.
Okay, so we have a
Oh
fragile.
my goodness.
We have a fragile quorum today. So maybe what we can do is we will come back to this. And if Jennifer is able to join us, then we'll take our vote. Pardon me for jumping around like that. Bear with me a moment. Let me talk a bit about upcoming elections. In June, my term as chair, and also regrettably my term on the RC as a whole, will be ending. I think I first joined in 2015. So these have been long, fruitful years, and I've really been delighted to be a part of this group. But my term will be ending and it's time to be rotating off and moving on. So that will create a vacancy in the chair position. And we also have currently a vacancy in the vice chair position. And now happily we do have quorum, at least we have mathematically the capacity to meet quorum. And we'll be talking about this again in March. But I wanted to plant the seed in people's minds. If you are interested in either of these two positions, they will be open and available. I thought it was helpful when I was in the position to hear a little bit more chair do, so that you can kind of start to think about whether or not this might be something that you'd like to undertake. The chair and vice chair must be an appointed member. At this point, I think we have a total of 13 appointed members from the governor's office. And it is a 3-year term. If your term is going to be expiring before the 3-year term, that's okay. You're still eligible, but you would have up to 3 years to serve in one of these two roles. I know that some of you are relatively new. Maybe you were appointed at the end of 2021 or the beginning of 2022, but keep in mind that 6 months from now, you'll have 6 more months of experience. And when I was elected, which was in the June meeting, my first meeting that I chaired and that I planned was September. So that's still 9 months away. And I would encourage any of you, I would be delighted. I think any of you would do a fine job. So please don't let the fact that maybe you just joined the board recently discourage you. Typically, the chair is blind and is a consumer. That wouldn't have to be the case, but that has been typically our practice, and I think many other states do that as well. There is no obligation for the vice chair to step into the chair's role. I know in some case that's sort of a preparatory position. That was the path I took, but that is not a requirement. So if you only want to do the vice chair position, you can certainly make a contribution, and then you don't have to take on the chair role later if that becomes vacant. The chair, as well as the, hello, Jennifer. The chair, as well as the vice chair and the secretary, and the meetings in cooperation with the commissioner and the deputy commissioner. And there's kind of a mutual give and take about what ideas might make sense for us to discuss. This is especially true when there are surveys, the combined state plan and things of that sort that are agency driven. And then there are also issues that come up for consumers, and it's a cooperative process. We then solicit speakers and make the logistical arrangements. We look at the combined state plan and the needs survey to try to assess what topics might be the most timely and relevant. We arrange for the meetings of subcommittees, like for instance, when we were doing the combined state plan, and make sure that they're posted per the open meeting law and the communication is appropriately distributed to the public. When there are accommodations, they come through the Rehabilitation Council, and we communicate with MCB and with the various offices to make sure that we have accommodations in place. We forward our approved minutes to Lauren, our legal counsel at MCB. Occasionally, the chair will serve on a committee that is an MCB committee. Did that a couple of times in recent years. The chair works with MCB to prepare the annual report, which is something that we'll be talking about later in our meeting today. The work changes a little bit depending upon what's going on at the commission. So when Bruce Howell, my predecessor, was the chair, there was an order of selection discussion that took place for a few months. Fortunately, we're not in order of selection now, but the Rehabilitation Council critical role in that. They also went through a periodic monitoring, kind of like a reaccreditation. We have not done that this term when I've been chair. During the last 3 years, of course, we've been dealing with things like COVID and the way that we transition into a Zoom remote meeting environment. And we've been dealing with things like the closing of the New Bedford and the Worcester offices and our membership getting our seats filled. And so the workload of specifically what it is that the chair and the vice chair would be working on will change a little bit depending upon the environment, the agency is working in. I believe that in 2023, we're going to be looking at a needs survey, and that will be something that we'll be working on very closely with MCB. And we'll continue to work on the things that we've already been working on, like making sure that our landing page is up to date, filling in some of those blank spaces, and maybe trying to get our subcommittees working again now that we're able to vote, get some more robust projects moving in that direction. I'm hoping that the membership issues are largely behind us now. We'll have a couple more seats to fill, especially in business, industry, and labor. We're going to be working with Silk to find the representative that will work best for them and for us. But hopefully we won't be having as many membership concerns. And we might want to think about rewriting bylaws. So those would be some possible directions that the committee could decide to go in if it chooses to do that. It's hard to say how many hours the work would entail. I have found that when it's kind of a routine quarterly meeting, it does not take all that much time, maybe an hour to a week. When there's something that is more urgent, it could be more significant. But usually it's flexible enough within the quarter that one can rearrange one's schedule to fit in the time. I have personally found it really rewarding in that it's been a wonderful way to learn more about MCB, to learn more about the rehabilitation system. I've met some fabulous people, and it's it could be really a nice way to enhance a resume or to expand your interest in rehabilitation if that's something that you would be interested in doing and take on a leadership position. And also, I should say that I'm not going anywhere. I will still be active in the blindness community, even though I won't be on the committee itself. I'll still be attending meetings as a guest. And my predecessors, there are others like Commissioner D'Arcangelo has previously served as the chair of the Rehabilitation Council. So he's always available to answer questions that might come up. So again, I would just encourage any of you who are interested to please think about it. We'll talk about it again in March, and then hopefully we'll get some of you excited to run for the seats in June. Jennifer Harnish, are you able to unmute now?
Yes, I'm now
Hi.
here. Or
Yay.
here and able to speak.
Okay, cool. Well, we had 7 individuals who came in. So would you be able to lead us through the roll call? Well, I guess we've already had our, first we need to have a motion, I guess, to address the minutes. Would someone like to make a motion to look at the meeting minutes from our June 1st meeting?
I move that the minutes for the June meeting be accepted.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Is there a discussion about the June, a more formal discussion about the June 1st minutes? Hearing none, I guess we will go through our roll call. If you could do that for us, Jennifer, and we will have our members unmute. Did I hear something? Oh, no. And if you could just say yes, no, or abstain.
Going to my handy spreadsheet. And this is Jennifer Harnish, by the way.
Document 3 Zoom. Member spreadsheet for core body. Excel. Member spreadsheet for core body. First cell. Members. Zoom. Zoom. Jerry Barrier. 7 minutes. MCB.
Okay, Jerry Barrier.
I vote yes.
Rebecca Davis.
Rebecca Davis.
She's not here today.
Okay.
Martha
Daigle.
Yes.
Naomi Goldberg.
She's not here today.
Okay, thank you. That part I did miss.
Jennifer Harnish, MC7.
And this is Jennifer Harnish. I vote yes.
Meyer, MC8.
Devin Meyer,
I did not hear Devin.
Cheryl Scott, MC9.
Cheryl Scott,
Yes.
1. Ryan Switzer, MC10.
Brian Switzer,
I didn't hear Brian.
Jennifer Whitmore, MC11.
and Jennifer Whitmore,
Yes.
1. David Yamamoto, MC12.
and I heard that the commissioner is not here.
Priscilla Ho, MC13.
Priscilla, is she here?
Actually, since Commissioner and Priscilla are ex officio members, they
Oh, they
wouldn't-
don't vote. They count.
they count towards
quorum.
quorum.
They
Right.
count.
Dan Elliott, MC14.
And Deanne Elliott.
I vote yes.
1.
Very good.
Total.
So we have approval
Zero,
of our
15.
June minutes.
0, 15.
Excuse me, Deanne, it's Lauren again. Are Nez is here for MOD. Is there, can they do a designation?
I don't
just a
believe
question.
so. I don't.
Okay.
we can't.
Yeah, my
Okay.
understanding is no. Thank you for anyway. But the meeting minutes were approved. So we had a majority. Let us move on to September. Is there a motion to consider the meeting minutes from September 7th?
This is Jerry. I would just add that I had made that one comment that I request that Regina DeMarza's role be listed in the comment that the commissioner made about her leaving and so on.
That
And
was
with
from
that-
the September minutes,
That was
correct?
September.
Okay.
yeah.
Thanks.
And with that stipulation, I would move that the minutes be accepted.
Is there a second?
I would second. This is Cheryl.
We have Jerry and Cheryl. Thank you. And is there any additional discussion?
Member spreadsheet for 4 5 Excel. Member spreadsheet for 4 5 September minutes.
Then we will go
Very good.
through the roll call vote again, if you would, Jennifer, to accept the September 7th meeting minutes as amended.
Okay. Jerry Barrier,
Yes.
1. Rebecca Davis, 94. June minutes, 0, 4. September minutes, 94.
Rebecca
Martha
is
Daigle,
not
95.
here. Martha Daigle,
Yes.
1. June minutes, Naomi Goldberg, 0, 6.
Naomi
September minutes, 96,
is
0.
not.
Edit 0. Harnish, 97.
I'm voting yes. This is Jennifer Harnish.
1. 98.
And Devin Meyer
0.
is not
Edit 0.
here.
Cheryl Scott, 99. June minutes, 1, T9. September
Cheryl
minutes,
Scott,
99.
Yes.
1. Mike Switzer, 10.
and Brian Switzer is not here.
0. Edit 0. Jennifer Whitmore, 11.
Jennifer Whitmore,
Yes.
1. David Yamamoto, 12. Priscilla Ho, Dan Elliott, 19.
and Deanne Elliott.
I vote yes.
1. Edit 1. So 0, 15.
Good.
Formula.
So our September minutes are approved as amended. Thank you, everyone. It really means a lot when you are able to come and be here for votes. And Jennifer, thank you again for your outstanding minutes. I know it really is hard to capture all of that detail, and you did an outstanding job. Appreciate it.
Now, for any future secretary, it's a really helpful way to review what was talked about, to remember the content. And finding-
Absolutely. Yeah, it always,
Just a quick question. I'm wondering if the host could give me permission to record, please.
that sounds good. Samantha, were you able to give Jennifer that permission? It helps so much for the taking of the minutes, I know. Did we lose Samantha?
No, I'm here. Sorry, I'm just trying to.
Take your time. And a reminder that because we do have our sign language interpreters and the CART representative here. So as we're getting into our presentations and discussion, if we could be conscientious about having one person at a time speak, and do try to introduce yourself by name as you speak, that would be very helpful.
This is Jerry with a comment.
Yes, Jerry.
I just want to ask that anyone who can, if you're going to be using JAWS, use a headset. It's very distracting to the meeting when.
I apologize. This is Jennifer, and that's been my problem with trying to do both of these. So I have two headsets right now, and neither of them was able to connect successfully. So I'm going to go find a corded headset. We'll
Yeah, I
go
didn't mean to
old-fashioned.
point you out, but I think
I'm
it's.
sure that works better, but I apologize. I should
It
be
goes
done.
for everybody. We all.
Yes, I absolutely hear you.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
No worries.
And I
Did you get
believe
that?
we're all set. I think we're all set now.
Thanks, Samantha. Did you get that permission, Jennifer?
I did. Thank you.
Okay, very good. And then for the beginning parts with the roll call and attendance and anything that happened prior to this, Samantha, would you be able to forward Jennifer the full recording?
Actually, I can get that off of the YouTube.
Yeah. All right.
Thank you.
Good. Well, we will move on. We are delighted today to have Sarah Wiles with us, and Sarah is an attorney who works with the Client Assistance Program at Massachusetts Office on Disability, and she's going to talk to us about an exciting new project, which is a vocational rehabilitation orientation that you're working on. Are you still with us, Sarah?
Hi, yep, I'm here.
Great, thank you. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me. I just wanted to just make a gentle correction, Deanne. I love to be called more than I am, but I'm actually just a JD, so not quite an attorney yet. But thank you.
Thank you.
So just to be clear about our roles here. So we, the Client Assistance Program, I'm really here in my capacity with CAP. And we also work with the Mass Rehab Commission's SRC. And in our work with the SRC, we had determined that it would be helpful for members to have more of like an orientation and a go-to guide for vocational rehab and the process generally. Things like the individualized plan for employment, and then different aspects of the regulations. We thought that that would be important because the whole point of the RC and the SRC are to be guides to the voc rehab system. So on that vein, we developed a document, a VR orientation, if you will. We developed it in the lens of our work with the MRC's SRC. So there may be some things that are a little bit different with the RC. But I shared that with Deanne, thinking that, if members of the SRC find it helpful, I thought that maybe members of the RC would also find this helpful. And if so, maybe, if there's things that need to be edited or reviewed, I'd be happy to help with that. And so just kind of sharing this document to be helpful, take it or leave it kind of thing. But I thought we got some good feedback.
Thank you. Did everybody get the attachment that was part of our mailing with the invitation packet? Sarah's draft was in there. Yes. And if you didn't receive it, please let me know and I'm happy to send you another one. So to clarify then, this would be a document and the target audience would be the RC at the Massachusetts Commission for the Blind and for the SRC at the Massachusetts Rehabilitation Commission. And it would be like a reference document, correct? Hello?
Christine needs some ice cream.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can
Sorry,
hear you.
Deanne.
Okay, sorry. I was playing with my mute. So as I understand it, then this would be a reference document for the Rehabilitation Council here at MCB to be used in the context of our discussion. It's kind of a background foundational sort of document. Is that right?
I didn't have a chance to read it, Deanne, but I'll take a look over it and get back to you with any comments you might have.
That would be wonderful. I'd appreciate
Sure.
your feedback.
Mm.
And
Yeah, hi, Deanne.
Deanne, to
It's
answer your
Priscilla.
question, yes, that was the intent. Sorry.
Thanks. Did I hear Inez?
It was Priscilla.
Oh, hi, Priscilla.
Yeah, I took a look at it, and I think there are a few things that needs to be edited just because MCB and MRC provide disability services differently. We are vision specific and MRC is general. So there are a few things that would definitely need to be edited to better suit what we do at MCB.
Thank you. Are there some specific things that you noted that we might pass on to them?
Well, I can't really, there were some stuff that were in reference to like complaints from MCB, MRC clients and stuff that, you know, are a little different. I can't really like remember most of them right now because I was reading them prior to the meeting. So I was in a rush, just like, you know, but I can always take a look and make a note and forward it as well.
Yeah, I would love to have that feedback. I think that especially for people who are working within the system as you are and as Deputy Commissioner Oliveira is, you would be sort of the ones who would have your finger on the pulse of how things are currently going. So your feedback would be super valuable. I think I would like to know more about the CAP program itself and about how how a client who feels that they would like to have a review of a decision, how they kind of reach out to CAP, what maybe just a little more detail about that would be helpful to me.
Deanna,
Contact
this is
information and so
Inez.
forth.
I'm happy to give a short 5-minute what CAP does and put our email in the chat. But we would also be happy to come and present at an MCB Rehab Council meeting to kind of give people more of a sense and give them the opportunity to ask questions. But what CAP is, we are the consumer advocacy arm of vocational rehab. Is mandated by the federal government, just like the RCs and SRCs is. And we basically help clients who have any questions about their rehabilitation services, are denied any services. We will help them work through a negotiation with the agency or help them appeal those services. And we also do some Title I trainings around disability-related employment rights, and that's open to VR clients and the public. And so anyone can actually contact CAP, whether you're a service provider or a consumer or a parent, and ask a question about the vocational rehabilitation regulations. And we explain those and talk about what help we might be able to give someone in a situation. These things are case by case, pretty much like everything that happens in disability law. So you have to be aware of that piece. But we really do try to have a good relationship with both MCB and MRC so that we're able to work out things just through informal conversations before having to take something to a formal appeal, which we can do through a fair hearing or a court case, which we never really get to in these. And I'm happy to put our email in the chat. And if people are interested in the employment workshops that we do, we will be starting those up in February, and we would be happy to send you the information for registering for those.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you to speaking to that. It's a great program. And I guess as I was reading it, I was wondering if maybe taking some of that information that you just gave, Inez, and I know some of it is in the document already, that might be an area to elaborate on a little bit.
And I have the blanket.
Yeah, because I think that is very useful information to be able to to
What
share
happened
and
to the
to know.
snowman one?
Oh, I think we've got somebody
Behind you.
on
See
open
that?
mic.
The snowman one behind you.
If you wouldn't mind muting yourself, that would be great. Inez and Sarah, would you be able to tell us kind of what your time frame is on your project? When are you hoping to have the final draft?
So
Yeah.
we are,
Oh, sorry.
oh, go ahead, Sarah.
Sure. Hi, this is Sarah again. So we don't have like a hard deadline. I think, you know, the version we're kind of workshopping in the SRC, I think we're kind of hoping to have that for the new year, or, you know, hoping to have a final for the new year. But I don't think that, and I could be off on that. I want to check with Naomi. But as far as my understanding, we did not have a set deadline for this specific project.
Okay, kind of evolving. I love this. Yes.
Inez. I just wanted to add to that because Sarah is right. And as we're working on this, it kind of came out of what we had started together, Deanne, as an orientation for the SRCs.
Yes.
And so just putting together some formal materials that as new members come on, they can access themselves and be able to learn about vocational rehab and the process and what the SRC does. And so we don't anticipate this ever having a real like end date, but more of a living document where as you know, the things change and as the bodies change and the mandates change, that we update it to basically fit the needs of the organization at that time.
I love that. Thank you so much for including us in your efforts. I think we don't really have here within the RC a formal handbook for our new members. We have a few assorted documents that we share when people come on, and you've done such a great job helping with or organizing the orientation meetings, like the one that you invited some of our new members to join last fall. So this will be really a nice addition. And I do think that when RC members come on, we represent such a wide diversity of views within the disability community, and we each bring our own expertise to the conversation about rehabilitation here at MCB, that it's nice to get the big overview and see how our piece plugs into the overall, the big. Did anyone else have any comments or edits that they would like to make? Any questions? So to summarize, it sounds like next steps would be then for us to connect with Priscilla and John and anyone else at MCB, any other members of the RC really, but in particular MCB employees, to see if we could get you some specific edits for a document that could be MCB specific. Is that accurate?
Sounds right.
All right. Cool.
Hi, Deanne. This is Sarah. I think that sounds great. I think the other thing I meant to mention is that we did not, we did not include information about the specific committees in the RC in this draft document. I think that that could be helpful, more of like a clear outline of expectation for the time commitment that members will have. I think that's something that is missing that I would like to incorporate. So I just want to note that.
Okay, thank you. We do not at this moment have very many active committees. We have formed them as the need arises. And we have some that are listed in the bylaws, including some that are no longer active. But I hope, it's aspirational, that we will be moving more in that direction in the future. We can work to insert some information about you, just to set expectations. Thank you for presenting.
At the end, this is Jennifer Harnish again. I just wanted to mention we have had CAP representatives come to the Carroll Center to share with our consumers many times over the years about the role of CAP, and I've found that to be really helpful. Just in terms of expanding the knowledge of resources for our consumers to have, available to them. So that's something we'll plan to continue. So at
Yeah,
any encourage other organizations or groups to do the same.
I would like to take Inez up on the offer. Maybe sometime in 2023, we could look to block off one of our segments to have the CAP representative speak. I know we have done it in the past, but it was quite some time ago, and it's definitely something that we can repeat. So if that works with you, Inez, maybe I can reach out sometime in the spring and we can set something up.
Yes, sounds good.
Great, thank you.
And I apologize, I got kicked off the meeting. I'm wondering if I can have permission to record again.
Sure.
Oh, thank you.
Get you set up with Samantha.
Should be all set, Jennifer.
Yeah, I'm all set, Dean.
Thank you. So I understand that Commissioner D'Angelo isn't here to deliver the commissioner's update. John, would you be able to incorporate his comments into yours?
Sure. Good afternoon, everyone. Hope you all had a good Thanksgiving. So as we go towards the end of the year here, things are winding down. The administration change is occurring in early January. We're receiving a lot of requests for us to provide information on different aspects. There's the transition committee is collecting all this, and they're meeting together and sharing the different aspects. Just the other day, I was updating some lists that they wanted people who are contacts at the agency for certain systems that we have or certain processes that we have going on. So we sent that over. But there's many requests being made by folks on the secretary's staff that they're working directly with the transition team. So I believe that's been provided. Mike has been working on that with the commissioner and on some other requests. So things are moving on as far as that transition goes. Budget-wise, things are pretty stable. Everything is moving forward. There's no issues related to any sort of funding, and just regular A&F administration and finance exercises come through, and our fiscal unit are handling those. So things are moving right along. On the program side, we're starting to get ready for the upcoming year. The Visions of Collaboration Conference, our training for teachers of the visually impaired and mobility instructors, working with PREETS students. It's going to occur. Exact date hasn't been set yet, but sometime in March. We're talking to a couple of the different locations. We're going to try to go with an in-person conference because everyone says how great it is to be back in person, but we're also looking at the hybrid option, and if things get real bad and numbers start going the wrong way again, we could convert it to a online conference only. So we'll work on that. We have a meeting on that tomorrow, so that's moving forward. Our internship program is kicking off. Many of our counselors and our employment services folks meet with the students that are back from college to talk about next year's interest in being an intern again next year. So that process begins now, and we'll go right on through the next 5-6 months before we kick off the program again. Again, that's always we had a good mix of in-person and online sort of internships. We also had some internships that were hybrid, and were sort of they reported to work to the internship site sometimes, but did a lot of other work at home. So that again is a sort of combination that we will allow anyone to have, and it's a great option. It also opens up our consumers to obtaining internships in in a distance far away from their home without having to worry about the transportation issues, obtaining internships in other states or other agencies out of state, organizations out of state. So I think it's a great option, and we'll continue to use any of those options to continue to give individuals an opportunity to build up their experience in the work world and convert those experiences into a work opportunity at the end of their college career. So the job fair that was held in early October, the reverse job fair, again, that's where our consumers present to a group of employers, and the employers reach out and contact. We've had several hires from that. This year we had the highest number of interviews that we've ever had from our job fairs through the years. So that's great. We like to call it at bats. If you get in there and you get an interview, at least you have a chance to get the job, and that was great. So that number was going up, and so we hope that continues. That means that our consumers were of interest enough to have these employers bring them in and at least grant them an interview and give them a chance at being selected for the employment opportunity. Just before this call, I was attending the Disability Employment Project, which is a project that's being handled by Human Resource Division, where they invite state hiring managers to come and attend, and MRC and MCB present consumers with disability. They liked our reverse job fair strategy so much that they have used it now 6 times. And so we bring a series of group of consumers that have been vetted and have been worked with and prepared their little elevator speech. On this particular project, they have 4 minutes to talk about themselves. And we actually are starting to match up jobs that they're interested in. And we've been, some of the hiring managers were invited to come and had a chance to listen to their elevator speech. So again, we'll keep trying different things, keep doing little tweaks to try to turn things and make things go in favor of our consumers, and that's going well. The folks at HRD are very committed towards giving opportunities to folks with disabilities, and this is why it's a joint collaboration with MCB and MRC, and it works out well, because sometimes we have a couple of consumers ready, and other times we have more, but we can collaborate, and both of our consumers have a chance to present to these hiring managers. So that's a great. Hopefully, it's going to continue. There are plans to continue. It's scheduled into next year, and we'll see how that goes. And there's a lot of job openings at the state level that we're at MCB, we're having a hard time getting a large number of applicants and that sort of thing. So it's great that agencies are coming. Other agencies are coming to these events also, not just disabled agencies. Other types of even other secretariats are coming. So it gives people a better variety of choices or opportunities to reach out into different aspects of employment. So the entrepreneurial self-employment project that we started with National Industries for the Blind, some of you may have seen or heard about that. We are again doing looking for a second group of consumers that are interested in trying this process. NIB has learned a lot from the first group that went through, and it's still in the works. One did withdraw. Another one took a little break, but is finishing the training part this month. And the third one is in the process of having his company be a disabled owned business, DOB, and that's done through our Office of this different office that manages all the different contracts. And that's a registration they have to go through. If they want to have first dibs on contracts by companies that are owned by minority individuals. So we're thinking that might give them a chance, or NIB thinks that might give them a chance at getting certain contracts. So we're moving forward on that case. And so we have sent the word out through social media, through our counselors, and they're reaching out to individuals, see if anybody else is interested in trying this self-employment. Sometimes the self-employment road is a hard road to go. It's full of challenges, and but we are always looking for different opportunities here at MCB, and certainly self-employment is a great way to make a living if you can find the right business and find the right resources to help you make it and make it a viable business that produces a good income. So we'll see how that moves on, and obviously we're still we're still working with the Polis Center and the Carroll Center on our Employment Now initiative. We're still recruiting individuals for that program, and have various aspects, and have spoken to the vendors about some other ideas we might be interested in trying. So we're working on that. Our mentoring program. We need some mentors to help our mentees. Joe Buzon wanted to make sure I brought this to you guys today, because he has consumers that are ready and willing to work with individuals who want to help them understand the future world of work coming their way. So if any of you here on this council want to join, drop me an email or give Joe Buzon a call or email, and he'll be glad to have you work with some of the consumers that are waiting. We're constantly looking for individuals. It's you don't have to be. It's mostly phone calls. It's with the consumer, or being there to support them in different challenges they might encounter, and providing some of your advice and to how you handled it as that person with a visual impairment. So if any of you are interested, by all means, give us a call. Our next gen, the project we're collaborating with MRC on, is moving forward. MCB has started to make referrals, both in Western Mass and in Boston and surrounding areas. So we're looking to see if those extra services will help support our consumers to get them towards employment goals. And it's looking pretty good. It's been a long road. It's about a year and about 14, 15 months into the project now. And the hardest part has been finding staff to staff this project. MRC needed approximately 23 employees. This is the third posting we're going on. We still haven't found a counselor to work with blind consumers. But other counselors are handling the consumers. Obviously, it is extremely difficult to find someone who has experience in working with individuals who are blind. So whoever we find, MCB is going to take the lead on in providing training for that individual as far as working with individuals who are blind. Obviously, that's where we're going to be working closely with that individual. But we did have a counselor that was interested and was very close, but withdrew once they learned it was a grant, and that job was not going to be guaranteed for years. The grant is a 5-year grant. We're under 4 years left to go, and it's understandable, and the staff are being told that once the grant is over, there is no guarantee of employment at MRC, and certainly not MCB. It is an MRC grant. So even the individual that will be working with MCB consumers is not going to be an MCB employee. They're going to be under MRC, and that's the way we designed it, because it would be very difficult to manage disciplinary issues and union issues if the two agencies were involved. And since MRC received the grant, we would have to go through some fiscal maneuvers to move money for the salary over to our agency. So since this will work out best for everybody, and Joe Bizon will continue to be the liaison, Carol Collins will get more involved, and our councils will still continue to provide all services related to vision impairment, and we will still be holding the case open. So it's not a matter of transferring cases. We're just treating it as another program that you're able to be referred to. And there is no cost to MCB. Obviously, the grant is paying for everything. So this was the cleanest way to keep everything straight and not get involved in any issues that might cause a problem. So everything is going well with that. And do you have any questions about anything else?
Thank you, Deputy Commissioner. That was very thorough.
Thank you very much.
Does anybody have any questions, comments?
Hi, this is Sarah from CAP.
Yes.
I just was wondering if there was somewhere we could read more about the Next Gen program.
Yeah, you can read a lot about it on MRC's website. I don't know if they have they're the ones who got the grant, so they're hosting. There's some public relations that's going out. They've sent out a lot of emails, a lot of social media. Right now they're in the recruiting phase for trying to get consumers. So we're recruiting consumers from the internal, but they're actually reaching out into the community. The Federation for Children with Special Needs is handling some of that outreach into the communities for MRC, but they also are handling the outreach for us. If they find someone who is legally blind, they are referring them over to me or at MCB, and we will activate their case to do whatever we need to do to get them rolling. And most of these consumers, MRC has opted to open the case also, so we will have dual cases at MRC and MCB, but that's perfectly legal and fine with the RSA, and our counselors will coordinate with the case manager at MRC to make sure we don't duplicate, which is the rules and regs, and there should not be anything that will be duplicated as far as services go, and we'll keep a close eye on that. And the supervisors on MRC side and our side and the case managers will contact each other, and we'll be able to monitor things. So there's probably some information about Next Gen, certainly on MRC's website. If I find any other, if I find a direct website, I'll send it over to Deanne and she can send it out, or I can send it to you, Sarah, also.
Okay, thank you, John.
Yeah, another resource, we were fortunate to be able to have 4 representatives from the program come and talk to us at, I want to say it was our June meeting.
Yeah, it's a June meeting.
Yeah, and that recording is probably posted and available through the RC landing page. So if people wanted to go and just listen to that, they did a good job with their presentation. Yeah, we look forward to continuing to work with them.
So we're much further along than we were back in June. So
good to hear. Exciting program. I have a quick question. I had heard some good news that MCB was able to get $400,000 in additional funding from the legislature, as supplemental funding that it could spend in really any way it wanted. Is that accurate?
Well, the accurate is, yes, the 400,000 was, it's a carryover funding that we were given last fiscal year, but we were not able to, it was designated to conduct a survey of all consumers. So since we were not able to get to it, the legislature allowed us to carry those funds over, and they were provided to the agency. Nate has some information on that since he is going to be the manager of that project. Nate, do you have anything else you want? We're currently in the contracting, the RFR phase, so we can't really talk much about it because there are vendors out there that are bidding or writing their responses to that point. But Nate is the one that was handling that side. I'm not sure how far that's along, Nate, if you're there.
Yeah, it's still out to bid at this point. It will be closing on December 12th. So after that point, we'll be able to talk about it a little bit more.
Yeah, so we can't say too much else because it's out there. It's available on Combis if people want to look at it. It's all laid out what the intent of the survey is. Vendors who constantly who are registered with Combis are out there and look it over and then submit their response to the agency. A committee reviews it, and decisions are made about which company is going to be awarded the grant. And then probably from January through June is probably when it's going to be carried out, and probably needs to be delivered by the end of June.
Thank you. You know, will it definitely be a survey? Would the funding be available to be used for consumer services or staff supports or other purposes?
So when the pot of money is pulled together, it was designated for survey only. So it's not related to any services being provided. It is for a provider or the contract, whoever gets the contract, to conduct a survey of all of our consumers.
And that was legislatively directed. That's how it was. Is that correct?
When the money came back, I'm not sure if it was legislatively directed. When the money came back, I guess when you ask for it back and what you're going to use it for, the agency tells the legislature what the intent was, and that was the intent. This was what was called PAC money, the acronym PAC money, and it was mentioned when you were awarded the PAC money. We had to come up with different ideas what we would use this for. And one of those ideas that we used was sort of to help people find housing, and that grant was used last year. So this one that was this portion that was intended for the survey, because of we had a lot of resource issues here as far as personnel resources. There was a lot of projects, and a lot of personnel were leaving the agency, and a lot of other activities were going on that we didn't have a chance to execute this pot of money that was designated for this survey. So when it was requested, I believe, to be sent back for us to go ahead and intend to complete that survey that we intended to do, but didn't have the resources, the personnel resources at the time to do that. So it was returned to us with the intent for us to use it for that, and that's what it's being used for.
Thanks for the clarification. Any other comments? I heard we had a successful White Cane Day.
Oh, yes. I'm sorry. Yes, that was a great event. Everything went well. All the technology worked. We had some live feeds from different locations and some recorded pieces that were brought in. And our mobility department did a great job leading that and pulling it together. A committee would pull that all together, and a great job was done again for another successful White Day. Next year, maybe we'll be able to do it out in person.
Wouldn't that be? Thank
Hello,
you for
this
doing.
is Sharon Strakowski. I do have one question, if I may.
Go ahead.
Sure. Not particularly about any particular program, but I'm wondering if MCB has a partnership with IRA now, especially for people in VR. And I'm thinking especially for the potential entrepreneurs where they really could use that service to help out.
So MCB never has had a partnership with IRA. They had a partnership with the MBTA, or a potential partnership with the MBTA for a while.
Yes.
But that wasn't renewed. But MCB does not have a partnership with IRA at this point. The number of potential entrepreneurs is so small. We don't typically support subscription type services, but it's we have to buy the product outright. And so we have not supported subscription type services, but the number of applicants we expect to be in the self-employment is so small. I'm not even sure if they've not gone out to the point where they've only done training, and the training has all been Zoom online on Zoom. So therefore, that need or request hasn't brought up, but that's something that would be considered down the road as things move forward, and then we'll look at different options at that point. Be My Eyes is a good option.
I was just going to say that.
They can use that as a free service if needed. There's new apps coming out all the time. Good Maps, another subscription service. So there's as time moves forward and things change, we'll take a look at what might be the best for the individual, and we'll talk about it at that time. But right now, we don't have a partnership with IRA.
Okay. Thank you.
So moving on, thank you. I wanted to say thank you to Nathan Scrocky for doing a second draft of our spreadsheet for the Rehabilitation Council, and this would help us track our VR cases in particular. One of the things that came out of the combined state plan was an interest in grounding our decisions more closely in data, and that allows us to give advice that's more fine-tuned to the agency when we discuss various projects like those mentioned by the Deputy Commissioner. You might remember that in June we had a recording that captured a lot of the feedback. We did a screen share of the first draft, and that recording is now available. It wasn't available for our September meeting, but it since has been retrieved. So thank you, Jennifer, for incorporating and capturing those comments in the minutes. And so Nate and I talked by phone a little while ago, and we now have a second draft to offer you. And I'm noticing a lot of the things that were comments that you've included. So thank you so much for preparing the second draft, Nate.
Yeah, no problem. I think there's a few things now that I've seen the notes for the meetings. I know that came out just in between when we talked, Deanne, but we did capture a lot of the things that were on there. There's a couple things that we can obviously change moving forward. And just to let everybody know, as you review this and as you are deciding and how you're going to use this going forward and what needs you have from it, we can adjust it. We can add things, take things away, make it as easy as possible for you to get through. So I'm definitely open up to feedback. I can make adjustments quite easily, and we can add and take away things as long as I'm able to easily, well, I shouldn't say easily, but able to retrieve the information.
Sounds good. Yeah, I agree. A work in progress. I'm sure our needs will change, and people will consult it, throughout the coming year. And it's good to know that you're there and you're willing to work with us on it.
Yeah, I think some of the things that are going to be of interest may not be of interest later, as you see, like the data doesn't really change or things stay consistent. Like one thing I'm just thinking of off the top of my head, which is the first thing on the report now, is the total registrations. But underneath that, we have the number of cases in process, and the oldest case was received on X date. Pretty consistently over the last several months, we're processing cases that are only 1, 2, 3 days old at the most. Anywhere from a handful of cases to maybe 20. That hasn't changed much over the last several months. So like that might be something over time. You're like, okay, as long as this doesn't change, I don't need to see that there's 3 cases in process and that they were received on the same day that the report was done. the total registrations will always be interesting. And there's certain numbers on this report that I just think will be staples, but there are things that might, depending on what's going on with the agency, might, come onto the report or fall off the report.
Yeah, I agree. I do kind of like to see how long the oldest case is in the pipeline, just because good news is good news. And
Yeah,
if that
that's true
just
too.
confirms to us that, yeah, everything's functioning, then that's a win.
Great.
For everybody. I liked the fact that the additional years were included. It was, I think the June version was kind of a snapshot of where we were now. And I saw that this included 2019, 2020, 2021. I think that was a good point that the group brought up. It does put the numbers into some context and allows us to see trends.
Yeah, I think there might be some value in either the years or some I went back just month by month. So you can kind of see the trends, things that are a little bit more active. It might be better to see month by month. There might be things that we might want to go back and look by year, and look at it that way, like the registrations, like maybe the demographic information, which, isn't going to change much month by month, but looking at it year by year might be more, a better view of it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so if anybody has questions or feedback, please don't hesitate to reach out to me, or if you have it now, I'll take anything that you have now as well.
This is Cheryl Scott. I have a couple questions and some feedback.
Yes.
Can you hear me okay?
Absolutely.
Make sure my headphones are. First of all, this is great. Thanks for the revisions. This is really, I think, useful information as a member of the council to have. I think it helps to get a picture as to what's going on, and maybe help to sort of educate me more on some of the areas of focus, or areas of really great progress, which I'm seeing here. So thank you for the work of you and the team on that, Nathan. I'm wondering if on this, for this document, if we can add maybe like a glossary or something, because there's a lot of acronyms on here, and I'm not sure if I know what all of them mean. So if there's just like a reference for them,
absolutely. That was asked the
great.
original time, which we missed, but there's going to be a tab with a glossary on the bottom for sure.
Okay, great. And I think I remember seeing that before, so I appreciate that. And on that note, just, I know this is on the social rehab side, which we don't really focus on here in the council, but what does DBES stand for?
It's Deaf Blind Extended Services.
Got it. Okay.
Good. No, that's a very good point. And I kind of felt the same way, because I think there were, just in the interest of conserving space, we're using a lot of acronyms and a lot of abbreviations, and the tab or the second sheet, or whatever format that takes, could be kind of a permanent piece of the project. I don't think it would have to change very much, but it could just help that we're all understanding what the parameters are of what's being captured.
Yeah, I think that would be great. And then on this, I do like the trend data on here, so we can get a sense of how things are shifting over time. And I'm wondering, I think you brought this up early in the conversation, but just to kind of come back to this point, it might be helpful. So I'm looking at, let's say MCB open cases. And so I see a month-to-month breakdown. And my question as an RC member is like, okay, as I see the numbers fluctuate, is this kind of a typical fluctuation? Is there kind of a cyclical nature to some of these numbers? And so I'm wondering if you can add, well, my suggestion is, and folks can push back on that if they don't like this idea, but maybe that point in time a year ago edition, so we can maybe get a comparison. So the latest one we have is November 15th, 2022. I think it would be great to sort of see what were the numbers at November 15th, or whatever that marker was, in 2021, and have that kind of be a regular feature. So we can, I think, just to get a sense of like what are the trend data? Are we trending up? Are we trending down relative to where we were a year ago, or maybe some other point in time? But that might be helpful.
Yeah, I might be able to do that going back. I think building that going forward will obviously be easy enough, but going back a year, I'm not sure if I can pull that data out of the system that we have on what was open and what wasn't at that point. I'll take a look at that. And if it is something that we can do, of course I'll include it, but I'm just not sure if the system has the ability to pull the data that way or not.
Got it. Okay, yeah, that would be great. And like you said, if you can't look back, then maybe moving forward, that might be helpful.
Yeah, I can definitely do that.
Yeah, that's a good point, Cheryl. And I think also because we meet at the same time every year and the first Wednesday of the month in March, June, September, and December, we could start building with this month. And then by a year from now, maybe the next RC will have that data right at their fingertips.
Yeah, definitely can build towards it, but I might be able to do the older information. If I am, I'll start to include it with the next quarters, but if I can't, we'll build going forward.
Mm-hmm. I was wondering if we might, did you have any other questions or comments, Cheryl?
Oh, actually just one more, and I think, again, this was also brought up, but maybe for the demographic, I think particularly for ethnicity, if we can get a breakdown of percentages in addition to raw numbers. I'm not quite sure what that means. I can do that
very easily.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
I think there was also a comment. Oh, thank you. I think there was also a comment that I remember from June for individuals whose race or ethnicity was not known or who might represent more than one group. We had used the word other, and I know that we do need to be consistent with federal guidelines so that we're capturing the same data and not comparing apples to oranges. But I'm wondering if there might be another way to word that would be more inclusive sounding, or I don't know. It was just a thought. We're open to
Yeah, I'll take
suggestions.
suggestions on that. I think what I'm probably using with other is probably just what's pulling out of the system that's in there now. So we can obviously phrase it any way we want to phrase it, and we can take a look at our system, make sure it is consistent with what's appropriate.
So that part of the system, Deanne, is if RSA, if the federal government wants us to use other, then that's what it pulls. We could change it when we put it on the spreadsheet, but we can't ask RSA to make changes.
Of course, in the parameters of what.
Yeah.
No, I understand.
So
I had a question about the word. Oh, go ahead. Somebody.
Sorry, this is Cheryl again. On that point around ethnicity, and really on here it's race and ethnicity together. So I think I would probably change it to that, not just ethnicity. So, and maybe I feel like this was brought up last time, but my memory's so fuzzy. 3 months ago, it was like a lifetime ago. So I see white, Hispanic or Latino. So for those who identify as Hispanic or Latino but don't identify as white, how is that showing up in here?
I'd have to take a look in the system to see how it's doing that. I think anybody who, and I could be wrong, but I think anybody who identifies as Hispanic or Latino is in that category.
Okay. So if that's the case, I wouldn't label it as white, Hispanic and Latino.
Okay, yeah, I can take that out. Again, that's just how the system has it.
So you're saying, Cheryl, like two separate divisions, one for Hispanic Latino and one for white Hispanic Latino was the way?
I mean, generally, demographically, there's like race, right? It's white, Black, Asian, and then there's ethnicity, which is like usually Hispanic, Latino, or not Hispanic or Latino. That's kind of a typical way. Obviously, race and ethnicity is much more complicated than that, but in terms of like what I'm used to seeing for the demographic breakdowns, that's generally the same. Is generally like that. So if we have a column for, or category for Hispanic or Latino that conflates white identity, then that I think is not an accurate representation of identity with regard to race and ethnicity.
Got it. Thank you, Cheryl.
Thanks. Good point.
Welcome.
I had a question. The word child was used somewhere, like children who are receiving MCB services. Does that equate with WIOA eligibility, or is that a separate category?
That is 0 to 13-year-olds.
Okay. Is there, I should know this right off the top of my head, and I don't. Was there a place where we pulled out WIOA eligible clients so that we can track them uniquely? And if not, is that something we might add?
Yeah, they would be in our pre-ed. So like any one time someone turns 14,
Mhm.
they would be in our pre-eds program, which is the pre-eds youth with a disability column on the open VR cases. So that would
Oh,
be
okay.
that youth piece that you're looking at. That is part of WIOA. That's the 14 to the point where they graduate.
Good, thanks. We might want to break it down
So
into
the 0 to 13, Dan, is just a state services,
Right.
nothing to do with federal, actually. So
okay.
yeah, the part you're looking for, it's around 250 consumers or so that are in covered by pre-eds, give or take. That's the ballpark number. But that 0 to 13, the 13, we use that here are possibly the number of students that will be coming to VR, but only about 10% of those 13-year-olds go to VR. The rest have other disabilities and not VR, and they move off.
Okay.
Yeah, they usually move to the SRDBES column.
Okay. Good to know.
Or line, I should say.
Other comments or questions? One thing I noticed with the screen reader that I use is that there were, like, for instance, some merged cells, and there were some maybe changes that we might make in column and row headers and titles that would allow JAWS to pick up on the meaning of the value in the cell and label it.
Yeah, Deanne, I was going to talk to you
easily.
about that because I think
Yeah.
there might be an opportunity to have a separate tab that's a little bit easier to read through JAWS.
Mhm.
And I think maybe, because I'm setting it up to be aesthetically pleasing for myself, probably, right? For
Right.
people with sight. But I think there is an opportunity to have a separate tab that will capture the same information that might be a little bit easier to navigate with systems like JAWS. It's not something I have a lot of experience setting up through Excel, but I would be happy to work with someone to do so.
Yeah, I think we don't want to create two separate systems. Maybe we can make as our goal creating one spreadsheet that works equally well for sighted folks and also for screen reader users. And there are some ways, some thoughts I had about doing that. Maybe at this stage, our best plan is to do what we're doing now and kind of flesh out the content that people want to capture, parameters are going to be, and the data that we want to have presented. And then we can kind of fine tune to make sure that the final product is reading well with screen readers too.
Yeah, that would be great. I appreciate that.
Thanks. Other thoughts?
Hi, Deanne, this is Inez.
Hi, Inez.
I just wanted to say that, I really like the spreadsheet. I think it gives some really good information. I also want to add for Nathan, and I'll find this link and send it to you, that Mass Office on Disability does accessibility consulting for documents for state agencies. So there is someone who could work with you on that in our office.
Great resource. Thanks for sharing that.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
This is Jerry with a comment. in looking at the spreadsheet with JAWS, one possibility would be to use the naming function to name the header rows, so that each entry in that row, like if I'm going through the years and I'm reading the number of consumers, there's a way to make it automatically say the year and the number of consumers, so that you don't have to go back up to the top of the list to find out what it is you're reading. So that's something to consider.
Yeah, absolutely. That would be very helpful.
Yeah, I think also sort of working with those merge cells will help in that regard as well. And there were some blank lines that we might think about when we get to the point where we're doing the final layout, to eliminate the blank lines to make sure that all the data falls under those categories properly. Thanks, Jerry. That's a good point.
And then this is Sarah, just with the last little addendum, or not addendum, but to piggyback off of Inez's comment, we have expertise in JAWS specifically here at MOD with the accessibility consulting. So great suggestion, Jerry. I was thinking the same thing, and I think the person at MOD would have the same opinion. And we'd love, I'm sure that they would let me speak for them in the sense that they would love to help with this project. So definitely loop us in.
Perfect. Thank you. This is good. I really appreciate everyone's feedback. Well, I'm sure people will have more comments as we go along and as we work with this each quarter. So I think we've made some headway in taking this to the next step, and then we'll look forward. Nathan, you and I can continue to work in the spring, and then we'll look to have something available to share with members for March.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Good. Thank you so much for helping us with this project. I wanted to move on to our annual report. This is a project that all rehabilitation councils across the country are working on right now, and it's due December 30th. It would be due December 31st, but I understand that's a Saturday. So we'll be turning it in on Friday the 30th. I wanted to mention that Patricia Hart, who has been with MCB for, 40 years? I think she's been a state employee for almost 50 years. Is that right? Patricia has recently retired. And she has been so helpful in this project and in other projects over the years. So I just wanted to personally wish her well and thank her for all of the support that she has given to me personally and to the RC over the years. She's been a tremendous source of information and institutional knowledge and expertise. And I've always appreciated her guidance and her kind demeanor. So before she left, Patricia did send a draft of the annual report. This is something that we submit to the Rehabilitation Services Administration, Washington, D.C., the Department of Education. And it was the draft was contained in your packet. There are a few little gaps there, like people's titles. I think I needed to fill in the number of interns that we had from your report, Deputy Commissioner, about the summer internship program. There were a couple of projects that I think we presented on in 2022 that we might want to add to the list of ongoing items. And this kind of captures everything that the RC has been working on, where we stand, our achievements, also the projects that we hope to work on next year, as well as some areas that may have been a little bit difficult. So I was wondering if people had a chance to look it over, and if you had any thoughts. I wanted to make this kind of a brainstorming session where we can just collect comments. And Nathan, I think you're going to be the point person in Trisha's place on this project. Is that right?
Yes, I'll be submitting it.
Yeah. Yeah, so you and I will be in touch between now and the 30th. But do people have any comments or thoughts or suggested edits they wanted to offer at this time?
Hi, Deanne. This is Inez.
Hi.
I did notice that John Oliveira is not listed under the MCB people. Is that intentional?
As a member?
As an ex officio?
Nope. We're delighted to have John with us, but he's not technically an ex officio.
Oh, okay. Didn't know that.
Yeah. I was surprised by that too when I first took on this position, because John comes to every meeting and we always appreciate your comments, John. But we have Priscilla and the commissioner as our 2 ex officio members. But it was a good catch. Any other comments or edits or suggestions? If you have any and you think of them later, just shoot me an email. And John and I, or Nate and I rather, will be continuing to work on those in the next 3 weeks.
Deanne, if people send you emails, they should not send it to the group. They should send it directly to you.
Okay.
That's tough. That's a deliberation question. So I'd like to look more into that so we're protected.
Is there a way, would it be better to send it directly to the agency, like to Nate?
It probably would be send it to Nate. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I wondered about that myself. I wasn't quite sure how to handle that. So, okay, yeah, send it to Nate then, and Nate and I will be working together and we'll.
Right. So don't CC Deanne. Send it directly to Nate, and then they'll handle the issue together.
Okay, thanks. We'd like to stay clear of deliberations outside of open meetings. That for our ASL interpreters, that was Lauren Lang, our general counsel. So moving on, is there any new business? Oh, I'm sorry. The next item is public comments. Do we have any comments from some of our guests who are attending today? How many people do we have on the meeting at the moment, Samantha, if I may ask?
We have 25 people total.
Oh, goodness. That's a good turnout. Welcome, everyone. This is a great time to ask questions, comments, but anything you've heard here or something else that's on your mind that might be vocationally related, since we deal exclusively with VR issues. Hearing none, we will move into new business. Many of our members or agency guests have some thoughts that they would like to add on to new business.
This is Sarah from CAP. I have just been thinking to myself, this is not like a fully developed thought, so kindly disregard if it doesn't make sense. But over at the MRC, SRC, I know that, not to blow up her spot, but I know that Inez has been, and others, I know that folks have been working over there on self-employment, and Deputy Commissioner brought that up today. I know that MCB, works a little bit differently in the sense that it's not a general agency, so the type of help that they can offer might be a little bit more specific. But I was just wondering if it made any kind of sense to keep each other kind of abreast of the self-employment stuff, since it is such a tough thing. I guess I'll think about this a little bit more and maybe come back next time with a better, more fully formed idea. But I was just thinking if it could be advantageous to join efforts at some point, or even just to keep each other informed.
I like it. I think it sounds like a good idea, and it's worth exploring for sure, because we shouldn't feel a need to reinvent the wheel when each group is doing something so similar, and some of the issues are really the same. Yeah, let's give that some thought.
Sure, I'll think some more about it.
Thank you for bringing it up. Yeah. I just got a question from Dina Rosenbaum about whether there was a report on the outcome of some of the marketing campaigns that MCB had initiated, I guess, last year. Would you be able to speak to that, John or Nate?
You know, there probably is a report, but I don't have it. I don't know if Mike is here on the call, if he's seen it, but that was before he was with MCB. So we could try to bring that out next meeting if you bring it up. But I did not see a report, but I'm sure the company did give us a presentation at the end. But I don't recall, if you're looking for certain hard numbers, I don't recall any of those.
Yeah, I think there is some information out there about like how many people it touched in various ways. I know those numbers are out there somewhere, but we can pull that information together and bring it to the next meeting if that's helpful.
I wonder if maybe with the question being asked now, someone might be needing it more urgently than by our March meeting. Probably the presentation that was given was publicly available, right? Would there be a recording of it somewhere on the YouTube channel, or would there be a summary in one of MCB's meeting minutes that we might direct people to?
Can I just ask a follow-up question?
Oh, yes.
Sorry, this is Dina. I'm more interested in whether MCB has been tracking like census data or other engagement as a result of the dollars that were spent on marketing campaigns.
So this is Lauren, and I don't think, the problem is it's not an agenda item, so we weren't prepared.
Okay, I just didn't know if it was talked about because I missed part of the beginning of the meeting.
Yeah, no, I'm so sorry, but it was an agenda item and we weren't prepared. But we can certainly let the commissioner know that the question was asked.
Okay, thank you.
Would that be helpful, Dina?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so how would we like to handle this logistically? Would March be soon enough, Dina, or were you looking for something sooner than that?
Yeah, that's fine. I might bring it up at the SAB, but that's fine. I think it would be of interest maybe to the council to have that information.
Okay, so maybe March would be okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you for bringing it up. So Lauren, would you be able to maybe pull together some things for the March meeting? Or direct it to Mike or someone else?
So if you prepare the agenda, you can make it an agenda item that gives us a heads up that you're interested in it. The other thing is that if you wanted it on the SAB, that the same problem comes up for them. If it's not on the agenda, it's not really something that we're supposed to be talking about. So if you want them to bring it up, you might want to contact Howard Purcell, who is the chair of that council, or let the commissioner know this is what you're interested in for the SAB meeting so that he can let Howard know.
Perfect.
You know what I mean?
I do.
Sure.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Keep it all out there in the open.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And speaking of the SAB, I understand we have some new SAB members. Would one of you be able to fill in the RC membership about who is on SAB now?
So, John.
Yeah, Lauren.
I know a couple of it. So Howard Purcell, you can help me out here. It's
Purcell,
Lauren again.
Brian McDonald.
Right, Harold Purcell, who is with NECO. He's the president and CEO of NECO. And
Brian McDonald with NBP.
He's the president and CEO.
And Kathy Patoskis from World Without Limits.
Yes.
At UMass. And Colleen, oh my gosh, from Partners. What's her last name?
Yeah, why am I drawing a blank on that?
For years.
Moran?
Yes, Colleen Moran. Yeah.
Colleen Moran. Yeah.
And there was a consumer.
Wong. What is his first name?
His last name is Wong, and he's a retired professor from New England College of Optometry.
That's
he-
Blair Wong.
Blair Wong.
Blair
yeah,
Wong,
there we
yes,
go.
thank you so much.
on the board.
And they all have, or many of them have, let's see, I think Kathy is the mom of someone who is legally blind, and she acted as advocate when her daughter was young. And Blair is legally blind, and I think that's it. So they're people that have not just having the professional contact, but also personal experience.
Okay, thank you. And Dr. Purcell is the new chair of the SAP.
He
Is
is
that
the chair,
correct?
yes.
All right. Thank you. I've been working with Michael, or rather working, maybe an exaggeration. We've discussed taking some of the information that we now have available with our new members and using it to populate some of the blank places that we had in our landing page. So I'll be continuing to work with him in the spring to hopefully make it a little bit more complete. It's been a really useful page to have. I use it frequently, and we can make it even more useful as we have more information that we have. I'd also like to thank Michael Ciccone for sending out the invitations and the calendar links for all of our 2023 meetings. So if you did not receive those, please contact me or him to make sure that you get them. It's good to have 2023 meetings all established, and thank you all for your flexibility this year. I know we changed our schedule to meet, now from 1 to 3 instead of 10 to 12. And I know that I haven't heard pushback from anyone that has been terribly challenging. So I think we'll go ahead with the meeting schedule as it has been. Our next meeting is going to be March 1st, 2023. And again, if anyone needs a reasonable accommodation, please reach out to me or to Shantae King at MCB, and we can get those accommodations for you. Are there any other comments or questions before we adjourn? If not, thank you so much, everyone, for coming, and I hope you have a safe and happy holiday season and a good 2023 and New Year, and we'll look forward to seeing you in March.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you.
Thanks. Happy holidays, everyone.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.